Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dunja in Spain. Today, we will be talking about international life in Spain, more precisely about studying and the life of young professionals in Spain. Today, with me in this episode, I have my friend Jana. Jana is from Serbia. She's been living in Spain, in Madrid, for almost 4 years now. She came here to study masters in astrophysics in English at University of Autonoma, and now she is working as a PhD student at University of Alcala de Henares.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, Jana, did I forget to mention something that maybe should be mentioned at the beginning?
The name of the university I work now is just University of Alcala. The administration gets really angry if you say Alcala de Henares because it used to be named like that, but not anymore.
So, University of Alcala. And okay, so let's get into the details. But before that, I would just like to invite you to subscribe because there are many similar conversations like this that is going to be amazing are coming. Let's start with the beginnings, basically, with you arriving to Spain. So you are from Serbia, the same as I am. What made you choose Spain and astrophysics master in Madrid?
Well, first of all, since in Serbia, bachelor studies last for 4 years, I was looking for a master in Europe, master program in Europe that lasts only 1 year. I didn't want to do 2 years of masters because in some European countries, undergrad studies are 3 years and then you have 2 years of masters. So this was one of the requirements, my requirements for choosing master's program. Then I wanted to, of course, an international program that's fully in English in my area, in what I'm interested in and what I've been studying in Serbia. And then the third thing that actually was the most important was that I have a family living in Madrid, which helped me a lot. So these 3 requisites were the main ones why I chose these masters. So a year before I enrolled, I came to Madrid as a tourist. At the time, I didn't think of coming to Spain to live in Spain or study here. But I stayed here for 1 month with my uncle and his family. And then the idea appeared that I might actually come to study and to live with them. So they offered me accommodation, and then I did the research. I found the master's it's called the theoretical physics, and in the University of Autonoma, as you mentioned. I went there with my uncle and aunt one day. We just talked to some people in the administration. They gave us information, and then later I just decided to inscribe, and this is how I ended up in Madrid.
And was it difficult to apply for this program?
In the beginning, actually, it wasn't. They didn't have many requirements. Like when you apply for a PhD, you usually need a cover letter. For the master's, I didn't need this. So it was just like to send your CV, to send everything that you already more or less like possess or you can easily get access to. One of the things that it was just recommended, you can send it if you have it or if you want, but it wasn't mandatory, was the English certificate because the master program was completely in English. And I didn't send it, but later I found that actually it's better if you have time and if you have it to send it because it is helping you with the application. It gives some points, additional points to your application, which at the time I didn't know. So it wasn't really hard to apply, I would say. But then later there were some complications with the enrollment itself. That was a bit hard for me. My aunt had to help me a lot because at the time I didn't know any Spanish. And as I said, the master program was in English, but people in the administration didn't really speak English. So you needed someone to translate for you. But not hard, not that difficult to apply, I would say.
First thing, it's good that you mentioned this thing about certificate because many universities in Europe, at least that I know, like in Germany, for example, they have quite strict regulations when it comes to English certificates. So also German, it depends which language you're going to study. But usually they have quite well-formed rules, which level of language you need to achieve at very few official tests, exams that you can take. And yes, it's interesting that in Spain, they are not so strict with this requirement. And the other thing is that, yes, it was one of my questions, how much you can actually achieve with just English.
Well, the master program was international, but there were not that many international students. However, the classes were completely in English. The exams were in English. The defense was in English. Actually, it was, you could also defend it in Spanish, but I think nobody did it. I think even Spanish speaking people, they defended it in English because it's a good practice overall. But when it comes to administration, then it's a completely different story. Administration at the faculty, but also everything that you need for your visa, for your stay. Usually even people that are working with foreigners in foreigners offices, which are called Expat, yes, in Spain. In my experience, I never met someone who speaks English who works in these places. It's really difficult in this sense. In the university, everybody speaks English. Once you're out of the university, the chances are slim that you're going to find someone who does. So it was a struggle in the beginning, and it is very helpful to start learning Spanish if you're planning to come even to study in English.
In Madrid.
Yeah.
It's a big city, but still. How was your study group? Were there many international students?
No, not at all. It was only me. There was one guy from US and one from Colombia, and that was it regarding the international part. But I must say, because I studied the astrophysics and the physics of the cosmos specialty of the theoretic physics master's degree at the Universidad Autonoma, that is not a very big group. So we were only 10 people. And yeah, out of these 10 people, 3 were international. And
yeah, so, but then I assume that it was like, because I mean, I don't say that this is always the case, but sometimes when you have like a bigger group of Spanish students, they are less likely to socialize maybe with foreigners. But I guess in your case, this was not the case.
No, it was exactly my case. They were all very nice people. And I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about them, but we really did not hang out at all. And I was wondering why. I thought, okay, because I'm a foreigner. First, because I'm a foreigner. Second, because I'm a girl. I was the only girl at in my master's program. Coming from a different country, different culture, you assume some things, you know. So I was just maybe thinking, yeah, maybe it's this. They don't want to try to socialize with me because of these differences or something like that. But then after I finished my master's, one of my colleagues with whom I was always having a nice relationship with, he approached me and we actually still communicate and we saw each other a few times. He moved away, so he's not in Madrid anymore. So we don't hang out so much, but he told me, I remember when after finishing the master's, he said he never reached out because he was so busy studying. We were really busy studying. It was a hard master's, I must say. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't make friends during my master's.
Would you say it was one of the biggest challenges for you, or what you would also mention as a big challenges during your master's studies?
This was one of the biggest because you question yourself, you question why is it. I always consider myself outgoing. I have a big group of friends in Serbia. And then why is it not happening here? Like, what's wrong? And then you really have a lot of doubts. But I mean, from my side as well, I was studying a lot and I was living with my uncle and his family. So I was also helping with the kids, well, basically almost every day or every day. So I was quite busy. I had my hands full with a lot of things. And so there was not a lot of time to really make any meaningful deep connections with anyone. Yeah, that was the biggest challenge. And for me, it was really difficult because you're far away from home. Yeah, you're with your family, but you're not with your family that you're used to, away from your friends, from my boyfriend. These kind of things, they were really hard. So this was, yeah, for sure. In the beginning, this was the biggest challenge. And also some cultural differences that took some time adjusting to, but overall, yeah.
How expensive was it for you to be a student in Madrid?
Yeah, it was quite expensive. So my master's program was around 5,000 euros, which is double the price for the national students. For the Spanish students, and actually, I think students from European Union, it is the same price. So for us, it was quite expensive. And for sure, if it wasn't for my uncle and his family who offered me not just accommodation, but also I was not really spending so much money even on the food. So they gave me shelter and food. And yeah, in this sense, I didn't have to, apart from the tuition fee and of course, some daily expenses. But since as an international student coming from the country out of EU, we were not allowed to work more than 20 hours per week. And yeah, quite honestly, I didn't even have time for that. So I didn't have any income. I was relying on the help of my parents and my boyfriend at the time.
Maybe it's just my impression, but I think it's for example, if I compare, because I studied bachelor's and master's in Serbia, and then when I was in Austria, I could see how the students in Austria are doing, and my impression was that, for example, in Serbian curriculum, there was no really any time nor space for someone to work, or not much as a student. And in Austria, I think this was organized in a quite different way, that students, it was really normal that like almost every student was doing something for at least a couple of hours per week, not fully relying on their parents and the money coming from the parents. So I don't know, what is your impression? So you just already said that it was very difficult even to find some space for some work hours.
Yes, for me, it was really hard. And I felt bad for it because then I would hear from time to time there were students who were working 2 jobs and then they're studying at the same time. But I really didn't have time. Like I was studying all the time. There was no way. And I had a lot of classes. I couldn't fit work anywhere. And I felt bad for it for some time. But then again, I'm getting back to this colleague of mine. He told me, like, are you aware that you were enrolled in one of the hardest masters in Spain? I don't know if this is true, but it was really, for me, it was challenging. So for me, there was no free space for doing any work. But you're right. I know that in Serbia, maybe things change in the meantime, but I really do not believe so. It is not even allowed to do any work, any paid work. If you are getting a scholarship from the government, that's the thing. If you are not, then I think you can work. But yes.
Yeah. This is something a little bit how I remember it, but it was a long time ago. Just maybe to summarize your master student experience in Spain, what advice would you give someone considering studies in Spain in English or whichever language is good for them?
This is one of the things that I learned through Instagram, scrolling through Instagram. And that's when I moved here, because I was really devastated with this kind of loneliness and inability to find friends, new friends
That's a great point, actually. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I thought the problem was in me. There is something wrong with me. But then you would just like scroll your Instagram, and the algorithm was feeding me with this kind of information from people like me, international students who went abroad, or not just students, but people who moved to another country. That one of the biggest challenges that no one tells you that they're gonna wait for you is this kind of loneliness and the feeling that you do not belong, but not just that you do not belong where you are right now. You don't belong in this country. You cannot adjust. You're different, but also you cannot go back. You really don't belong there anymore. And this feeling grows as time goes by. And more time. And this is something that we actually, I think, discussed a lot when we first met. And
yes,
sure. These things and how important it is to actually have some kind of a support group or whatever it is that you overcome this. I don't think that everybody goes through this, but I think the majority of people go through this kind of stage. I mean, it really never ends, but it gets better. So this is something that I would really like, that there was someone who would have told me this, just to get mentally prepared for what's coming. But not to blame yourself and to find the culprit in yourself. Like, I am the one who is not belonging, who is not adjusting, something is wrong. Yeah. Just sometimes it's really hard. It's really hard when you move and when you change everything. Were you actually planning from the beginning to stay in Spain, or did that just happen? No.